Honorable Senators, having set the context of today's special sitting, I wish to inform the House that a motion on the removal of a Speaker or Deputy Speaker is a constitutional matter that is both rare and extremely unique, especially when it finds its way into the floor of the House as parliamentary business. Speakership in the Senate and in similar jurisdictions in the Commonwealth embodies the power, dignity, and honor of the House. The main features attached to the office of the Speaker are authority and impartiality. Members aggrieved by the conduct of the Speaker or Deputy Speaker can only discuss his or her conduct by a way of a specific substantive motion or a motion on the removal from office, such as the one which is before the Senate today. Honorable Senators, as you all know, the essential ingredients of the speakership is founded on the status of the Speaker as the servant of the House. It is on this basis that motions of removal or censure of the Speaker are very rare. Indeed, the motion such as the one before us today is the first of its kind in the history of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. Honorable Senators, Article 106(2) of the Constitution of Kenya states as follows: the office of the Speaker or Deputy Speaker shall become vacant, A, when a new House of Parliament first meets after an election, B, if the office holder as a member of the relevant House vacates office under Article 103, C, if the relevant House so resolves by resolution supported by at least 2/3 of its members, or D, if the office holder resigns from office in a letter addressed to the relevant House. Honorable Senators, the motion before the House this afternoon is a special motion and shall be prosecuted in the manner prescribed in Standing Order number 69, read together with the provisions of Part 12 motions and Part of 17 rules of debate of the Standing Orders. Standing Order 69(2) provides that unless the Constitution, any written law, or these standing orders specify a lesser or further period, a special motion shall be A, disposed of by the Speaker in accordance with Standing Order number 55, notices of motions within 7 days of received by the Speaker of notice by a Senator, and B, disposed of by the Senate within 14 days upon notice being given under Standing Order number 55. Notices of motions, as if not, such motion shall be deemed to have been withdrawn and shall not be moved again in the same session except with the consent of the Speaker. Honorable Senators, in the light of COVID-19 pandemic situation in the country and in line with the health and social distancing protocols as contained in the guidelines that are issued on 31st March and 17th April 2020, and following a resolution by the Senate's Business Committee on 20th May 2020, arrangements have been made to ensure that all senators have an opportunity to access the chamber and participate in this debate while in the precincts of the main parliament buildings. To achieve this, and in consultation with the Senate Business Committee, I wish to inform you that 1, a maximum of 28 senators have been allowed to sit inside the chamber on a first-come, first-seat basis, with seats reserved for the Senate leadership. 2, the new wing lounge of the Parliament restaurant has been designated as part of the Senate chamber to accommodate the other senators who have missed seats in the main chamber. 3, appropriate measures have been put in place to facilitate all senators in the lounge area in the new wing to follow proceedings, taking into account the necessary social distancing guidelines. 4, a senator seated in the lounge area in the new wing wishing to make a contribution in the debate will be required to record his or her name with the clerks. 5, the list of senators wishing to contribute to the debate will be handed to the Speaker, who may call out the senators to speak. 6, a senator whose name has been called out to contribute to the debate shall walk into the chamber, board at the bar, and proceed to make his or her contribution from the dispatch table. Upon conclusion, the senator will withdraw from the main chamber and resume his or her seat in the lounge area in the wing. Honorable Senators, after conclusion of debate on the motion, a vote will be taken. However, as mentioned above, this is a special motion with a constitutional threshold as stipulated in Article 106(2) C. I wish therefore to direct as follows. 1, at conclusion of debate, a division bell shall be rung for 10 minutes. 2, Clerk shall then determine the number of senators present in the chamber, including the extended chamber. 3, if the number of senators present is 45 or more, being 2/3 of all senators, I shall proceed to put the question and direct that a roll call vote be undertaken. 4, however, if the number of senators present is less than 45 senators, I will decline to put the question and declare the motion to have been lost. Honorable senators, if we ascertain the requisite threshold for voting has been achieved, the following procedure will be deployed. 1, the Speaker shall request for the submission of the tellers for the ayes and the nays, who shall remain seated at their seats. 2, the Speaker shall put the question and direct the clerk to call out the names of senators in the chamber, including the extended chamber. When called out, each senator shall declare assent or dissent to the question in the following manner: I vote yes, or I vote no, or I abstain, pursuant to Standing Order 83.5. When called out, the senators in the extended chamber will walk into the main chamber and cast their vote from the dispatch table in the manner set out in Standing Order 83.5, and thereafter withdraw from the chamber to their respective seats in the lounge. After the clerk has read the last name in the division list, the tellers shall present the result of the roll call vote to the clerk, who shall hand them to the Speaker to announce the result of the division. Honorable senators, to contextualize Article 162C of the Constitution of Kenya, if the Senate so resolves to remove Senator Professor Kithure Kindiki as the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, such resolution must be supported by the votes of at least 2/3 of all senators, this being at least 45 senators. Honorable senators, I wish to appeal to all senators to observe decorum and courtesy during the debate. The expected standards of debate must be strictly observed to ensure that we listen to one another without unnecessary interruptions. It will be out of order to use offensive or insulting language in respect of the Deputy Speaker, who is our colleague, or other senators or other persons, or to make claims without substantiation as required under Standing Order number 100. Honorable senators, a cardinal principle of our constitution and legal system is that a person against whom assertions have been made shall be given an opportunity to defend himself or herself, to rebut allegations against him or her. In the context of such motions as the one about to be debated, the Deputy Speaker, Senator Kithure Kindiki, MP, will be given a chance at the end of the debate to accordingly make his contribution to the motion if he so wishes. Honorable senators, as I conclude, I would like to say the following. It should not matter, indeed it must not matter, which side of the political aisle you are sitting on, but no doubt every of the actions, deliberations, and decisions or determinations are reached on the floor of this House will form the basis of rulings in the future, and that future must be of necessity be informed by the circumstances of the present. This present, as currently established, does not provide adequate mechanism for undertakings such as we are going through today, including making provisions for due process in line with non-policy, legislative, and constitutional architecture. I call on the House to consider the introduction of these mechanisms into our standing orders so as to guide future processes. The House is now guided accordingly, and I thank you. Next order.
Order number 2.
What's your point of order, Senator Pomboka?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. According to your communication, it is well known even in the Ministry of Health that the members who are supposed to be here, they are supposed to be 28 for the sake of Corona. Corona is real, Mr. Speaker, and according to how I see, Senator Millicent Omanga and Lituri are seated where it's not marked that sit here. Mr. Speaker, kindly give us. And Senator Keika.
What's your point of order?
My name is Murkomen. In case you forgot, Mr. Speaker.
No, I cannot forget my senators.
Mr. Speaker, on a more serious point of order, Mr. Speaker, you have outlined a very serious process that is required to deal with a motion of this magnitude. The Speaker, you've even gone ahead to indicate that this is an historic moment because There's never been another deputy speaker who has been removed from office, or such a debate of this kind of removal of the deputy speaker. And you know, Mr. Speaker, what befalls the deputy speaker under the standing order and the Constitution befalls the speaker. It may not be the current speaker, it can be any other speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to know from your office, was the deputy speaker served with the charges for his removal? Was he also, Mr. Speaker, notified? No, Mr. Speaker, was he notified? Because it's in your communication. Was he notified of this sitting, plus the charges? And was he, Mr. Speaker, given the opportunity to get the charges against him? So that, Mr. Speaker, when we go to the motion, at least you lay ground as part of your communication. I would have wished to hear from your communication that there was a notice of motion given by Senator Kangata of Muranga, that, Mr. Speaker, pursuant to that motion, some charges were provided. Your office facilitated the deputy speaker to be notified of these charges, then prepare himself, so that when we go to the motion itself, the foundation of this motion will have been achieved, Mr. Speaker.
Let me make the following ruling. First, Clerk, we want to be sure that we have the numbers that are required to be here, because it's supposed to be 28 according to the health protocols. So maybe you can check that so that we are not breaching the protocols. Secondly, what Senator Murkomen is asking, the motion, the notice of motion was moved, the motion was approved, and therefore I will want that we proceed, let the motion be moved. Then after that, we look at whether, I mean, then, so the issues, some of the issues that you are raising could easily be addressed in the motion. So, next order.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm not satisfied. And it's only your office which can satisfy. You know, the country is watching. And Mr. Speaker, the country wants to know a deputy speaker is being prosecuted in this house. Mr. Speaker, did he receive any specific charges from your office? Was there charges from the move of the motion that was sent to your office, and your office facilitated the deputy speaker to receive these charges, so that, Mr. Speaker, we don't turn our Senate into a kangaroo court?
Yes, Leader of Minority.
Mr. Speaker, since Senator Murkomen is insisting on this question, let him cite the constitutional provisions that require that in such a motion, sit down. You know, you don't know even the standing orders. Mr. Speaker, see what he's looking at, doing.
Senator Murkomen.
Mr. Speaker, he should specify the provisions of the Constitution that require that charges be made available to any speaker or deputy speaker on whom a motion of removal has been tabled in the House. He should cite the standing orders, which states clearly that their charges are supposed to be given to the deputy speaker or the speaker when such a motion is tabled. In reference to the removal of the president or the vice president, the Constitution is very clear. It's very clear in the Constitution and in the standing orders that the charges must be laid before a debate can take place. So without further ado, it's a simple question. Mr. Speaker, we have not come to the motion itself. Let him read the standing order. Since he rose on a matter of point of order, read to the Speaker what that standing order says and the requirement under that standing order. Read to the Speaker the Constitution and what the requirements of the Constitution require. And finally, Mr. Speaker, a motion to remove a speaker or a deputy speaker is not a trial. It's not an impeachment. We are not going to call witnesses like in the case of an impeachment. No lawyers are allowed in the chamber for purposes of prosecuting an impeachment trial. There is no impeachment. Senator Professor Kindiki Kithure is not under trial. This is simply a motion for removal.
Point of order.
Order. We want to make progress.
On the same issue.
Order, senators. If you listened to what I said this is the first of its kind And actually we are talking about the office of the Speaker, which is my office. Professor Kindiki is my deputy. And I say that, just like the leader of minority has said, in the case of removal of a governor, removal of the president or the deputy president, in an impeachment motion, witnesses will be called to give evidence, or they will defend themselves. But this is a motion. So I want to briefly rule that we move to the motion. Then these issues that are being raised will be raised once the motion has been laid during the debate, and it will go on record on what you have said.
Mr. Speaker, I've been challenged.
I've not given you order.
I've been challenged, Mr. Speaker, to substantiate.
Order, Senator Murkomen.
I've been challenged, Mr. Speaker. It's on the record.
But
I need to substantiate the basis of my argument because it was my point of order.
Okay, take your seat. I give you an opportunity first.
Okay, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Murkomen. I said, let us just cool down and prosecute. Yes, Senator Murkomen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is deplorable. It's actually laughable that human rights defenders of yesterday, Mr. Speaker, are presiding over a process, Mr. Speaker. I have not said.
Speaker, we are not
Order, members.
Let him announce
order.
Mr. Speaker,
Senator Murkomen, order.
Mr. Speaker, I'm on a point of order.
Order, Senator, leader.
I am reading,
order, members.
I am reading the section.
Okay, wait, order, Senator Murkomen. Listen, please. We are honorable members.
Correct.
The world is watching. Go back to what I said in my communication. Let us use decorum. Let us respect each other. Let us not insinuate. Let us not use a language that demeans or casts aspersion against your colleagues. It's so directed.
Mr. Speaker, I have not mentioned any name, although they say that if you mention, like Chinua Achebe said, if you mention dry bones, it's all the women who get uncomfortable. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution is very clear in Article 47, which says, Mr. Speaker, every person, including Professor Kithure Kindiki, has the right to administrative action that is expeditious, efficient, lawful, reasonable, and procedurally fair. If a right of a fundamental freedom of a person has been or is likely to be adversely affected by the administrative action, the person has a right to be given written reasons for the action. Mr. Speaker, in line with this Article 47, the National Assembly, in its standing orders, provided a long, the Speaker, procedure of how to notify the Deputy Speaker and the Speaker if you want to remove them. Mr. Speaker, you cannot say, and it is not legally sound, to argue, Mr. Speaker, that you are going to engage in a serious constitutional process to remove a constitutional office holder, and, Mr. Speaker, pretend to say that the other articles of the Constitution are not going to apply. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of record. The process we are going through is a process that will be in history for the next 100, 200 years. This house, Mr. Speaker, led by its majority leader, Kipchumba Murkomen, went to the High Court, Mr. Speaker, to challenge procedures that have been floated by the Executive and National Assembly. This House, Mr. Speaker, has just got a ruling from the Supreme Court of processes that have been floated. This House cannot continue calling itself the upper house and run a removal of its deputy in a kangaroo manner, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator Murkomen.
Point of order.
Senator Murkomen.
Point of order.
Just a minute. What's your point of order, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr.? Then I'll come to Linturi.
Mr. Speaker, unfortunately for Senator Murkomen, he read the Constitution and left sections which he should have read so that he can educate us as to what he means in terms of fair administrative action. For the record, Article 47.3, which Senator Murkomen obviously didn't want to read, states as follows: for the avoidance of doubt, Parliament shall enact legislation to give effect to the rights in Clause 1, and the legislation shall A, promote for the review of administrative action by a court, or, if appropriate, in independent impartial tribunal, and B, promote efficient administration. In support of that objection, which is not even an objection, Mr. Speaker, the Senator of Elgeyo Marakwet should first of all demonstrate we are sitting in a court, 2, we are a tribunal, and 3, which is even more important, that the act arising out of this section, which is called the Fair Administrative Act, where Senator Murkomen, as a member of the Legal Affairs Committee, participated, should show that Article 106 on the removal of a speaker applies. And since he doesn't know, Article 106, it has no reference in the Fair Administrative Act. And we passed that law here. So, Mr. Speaker, the objection raised by Senator Orengo must be answered. What section of the Constitution is he referring to? Specifically, so that we can get on to this matter.
Mr. Speaker, I don't want to belabor the point. The question...
Okay, just a minute, Senator Orengo.
The question was directed to the Speaker. It was very clear to know whether a process took place between the notice of motion and whether the Deputy Speaker was notified of any charges that, Mr. Speaker, support the motion, or reasons even that support the motion, because that is the most, the briefest motion I've ever seen, to say, Mr. Speaker, we just want to remove the Deputy Speaker. Now, Article 47. Mr. Speaker, I don't know how Mutula Kilonzo has his moments of brilliance when he wants, the Senator Makweni. But when he wants to cover, Mr. Speaker, the truth, he cannot hide that truth in Article 47.3. 47.3 says, beyond the administrative procedure that is required, the law also must provide that any person who is not going to be happy with that procedure must have a process of going to a tribunal or to a court. Mr. Speaker, that is very clear. You can't lie to me that in any... Mr. Speaker, if you read Chapter 4 of the Constitution, if you read all of Chapter 4 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, we are about to walk into a very dangerous place. And I tell you, Mr. Speaker, it will be Professor Kithure Kindiki today. It will be another person in a different forum. We cannot, as a Senate, pretend to push for processes elsewhere, and Mr. Speaker, come here to run a kangaroo process.
Okay. Order. Out of you've been...
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
You've had Senator Murkomen referring to the Senate as a kangaroo court continuously. And he should not be addressing us if he thinks we are a kangaroo court. Secondly, he wants to mislead the House that the case that was filed in the High Court, that he led the senators in that case. In fact, he didn't utter a word in that case. It was me and Professor Kindiki who led in that case. I was the senior counsel in that case. He's a very junior person when it comes to matters of law. Very junior. So he should not be preaching as if he knows the law, and he cannot cite a case which has been quoted in the law reports of him ever having prosecuted even a case in the Supreme Court. Can he mention even one case he has prosecuted in the Supreme Court? But the point is this. There is a decision of the High Court sitting in Machakos, where a similar case was taken before the High Court, in which the county assembly in Machakos removed the deputy speaker. And the court considered what is fair hearing and what is a notice. And that court ruled that hearing does not mean that you address that tribunal. It does not mean that you're even present in that tribunal. It's just like when you say public participation in parliament, in the committees. People can undertake public participation even by sending their suggestions through digitally and so on. But the more important question, which I want Mr. Speaker to be addressed if this matter can be dealt with fully, is that in relation to the president and the vice president, there are specific provisions which says you must spell out the charges, and the process is clearly set out. When it comes to the governor and deputy governor, the process is set out because that is a trial. The other thing which the junior counsel is not considering in trying to construct Article 47 is an action by Parliament, an administrative action. It is not an administrative action. We are a legislature. We are exercising our legislative authority under the standing orders.
No.
And I think, Ms. Murkomen, if you want me to give you judicial decisions on what is administrative action, go and read Professor Wade. That book, if you have not read it, then I would understand why you don't appear in constitutional and administrative
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
division.
Point of order,
Yeah,
Mr.
you
Speaker.
started it.
What's your point of order, Senator?
Mr. Speaker, Senator Orengo
Murkomen.
has over and over again insulted me and insulted my education.
Order.
Mr. Speaker,
Order,
and you have
members.
kept quiet. No, let me raise my point of order.
What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, Senator Orengo is over and over again repeating and doubting my practice of law or, Mr. Speaker, my knowledge of law. Mr. Speaker, Senator Orengo and I went to the same university, even if the difference was 26 years. I got a second upper, Senator Orengo got a second law. I have 2 master's degree, he has none. I have taught 2 students, Mr. Speaker. I have taught 2 students, Mr. Speaker, who are in this house.
Order,
Who is he to lecture me? Who is he?
Order, Senator Murkomen. Order. Honorable senators, order. I want to urge you to look at my communication. Let us respect each other. Let us discuss with the decorum. Senator Cheriot. On a point of order, Senator Cheriot. Okay. It comes, the 2 leaders, we have 3 extra members in the chamber, so you'll have to decide the 3 who go out.
The sitting, first come.
Both sides.
A point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order. Point of
There are 3 extras, so you decide. Yes, Senator
Point of order.
Ochila Yako.
Mr. Speaker, this is very simple. By your own rules, you have designated where people sit. Those who are sitting in places that are not designated should not burden the leadership to try and evict them. So I think it is visible. If it is me, the sergeant at arm can come and talk to me and I leave.
Yeah. I think we have designated for where people to sit. So if you are sitting in a place where we have not said sit, please you get out of the chamber and join the rest of the other members. What's your point of order, Senator Susan? Okay,
Calm down, you're not the speaker. Okay, Honorable Speaker, my question just is, as we walk out of the chamber, since we may not be in a favorable position, at what point are we able to make our contributions from the other side? Let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. When are we able to make our contributions? And on top of just the contributions, are we able to timely make points of orders from the other side?
Yes, just you can see Senator Cheriot is here. We have made a mechanism of how, and it was in my communication, on how you will approach and make your contribution. So those who are sitting in places that are not designated for sitting, please let us observe the health protocols. So you get out, and then I give Senator Cheriot an opportunity to contribute. What's your point of order? Okay, let's have just Senator Linturi. Let the 3 senators first of all move out. Yeah. Let us have order. Let us have order. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, then if that is the case, I think is
Order, Senator Linturi. Order, Senator Linturi.
Let's hear him then.
Cheriot is no. Order. I have made a ruling. Honorable senators, I have said if you are sitting in a place that is not designated for sitting, please leave the chamber. I'll give you an opportunity from where the other senators are sitting to be able to contribute so that we make progress. It is so ordered. So that we give Senator Cheriot an opportunity. No, but Senator Cheriot is already on the floor, Senator Linturi. No, order, Senator. I'll give you an opportunity from where you are going. You'll be the next one.
But you never know where I'm going.
No, I know.
You know it's good. And you know, addressing the House and the Republic this afternoon depends on
So
the
order,
discretion
order,
of the
Senator.
Speaker,
Order,
Mr.
order,
Speaker.
order. I'll
That's
give
why I
you-
want to secure my position before I get out, because why we find us seated here this afternoon is because...
Order, Senator. I'm on my feet. Order. I have said I'm going to give you an opportunity. You are the next one I'm going to give an opportunity after Senator Chiroti. You cannot be, both of you, on your feet. Let us respect that. I'm going to give you an opportunity to make your contribution. Okay, Sergeant at Arms, can you make sure that those who are sitting in places that are not designated, please leave the chamber so that we make progress?